All units, this is Officer Smith, badge number 6969. We have confirmation that Joker has taken the mayor hostage at City Hall. I repeat, Joker has taken City Hall. All units respond.
The Batman Arkham series tells a singular story, from Batman's beginnings as a violent vigilante in Arkham Origins, to his heroic sacrifice to save Gotham in Arkham Knight. Overall, the story seemed pretty complete, but developers have tried occasionally to continue the series through additional games. Several years ago, back in 2007, there was another Batman Arkham game in development, one that was meant to tie into the events of Arkham Asylum, developed by Red Fly Studios, who were known for developing a plethora of other games. This Arkham Asylum game was created as a port for the Nintendo Wii. However, for various reasons, the project never saw the light of day.
In the air, and when oh jeez, and there goes the tennis racket.
Wii ports on popular games often barely resembled their counterparts on more powerful systems, to the point where they could be considered different games entirely. But this was a compromise that needed to be met if developers wanted to tap into the Wii's player base. During the peak of the Wii's popularity, Rocksteady Studios began work on Batman Arkham Asylum, the latest AAA Batman game since Batman Begins. The game generated massive amounts of hype among the fanbase, including gamers who could not wait to experience what Rocksteady had in store. However, taking a look at the game's graphics and mechanics, it was doubtful that the Wii could possibly run it. Of course, many studios would see the benefit of capitalizing off the game's hype and tap into the Wii's player base. If they couldn't give them the full Arkham Asylum experience, why not just give them a substitute that could come close? With this in mind, Red Fly Studios began work on a Wii port of Arkham Asylum somewhere around late 2007, and over the span of a couple of weeks, they would formulate this short demo of what the game could have looked like. Overall, the gameplay for this demo is nearly identical to what we've come to expect from the Arkham formula: detective vision, stealth takedowns, grappling to a ledge, gliding, and of course free flow combat. The animations do look a bit janky, but that's likely due to this game being in the early stages of development. One curious detail about the gameplay is how the cursor moves around. Now, just from watching, it's not very apparent what the cursor is used for, but that doesn't stop us from speculating on its purpose. The reticle was likely used for players to both grapple to a vantage point by physically pointing and shooting, and would have likely allowed for the use of certain gadgets as well. Almost nothing is known about the story of this game, so we can only speculate based on what we've seen. Now, it's clear this game wasn't going to follow the events of the main title. Clearly, the developers would not be able to provide the same experience as the other console releases of the game, but Arkham Asylum deserved to be experienced in its original state. If they could not provide players with the core experience of the main game, then it was better to simply craft a new experience that's still closely tied to the original game. It's very apparent that the Wii port of Arkham Asylum does not follow the events of the game. The demo is clearly set within Gotham City, on what appears to be a large building. Based on the fact that the building is surrounded by Joker's goons, it appears the building is currently being occupied by the Joker and his gang. Further events that point to this is the Joker blimp that appears to drop off new gang members. Based on what we've seen from gameplay, this Wii port was most likely depicting the events at City Hall, where Batman had to save the mayor of Gotham City from the Joker.
Batman is now en route to Arkham Island.
Long night, Jim.
Joker invades City Hall and holds the mayor hostage, leaving it to me to juggle SWAT teams, the media, and you. Yeah, it's been a hell of a night.
Based on the dialogue from the game as well, it's clear that the events at City Hall sort of ended unclimactically, with Joker giving up the fight sooner than usual.
You okay?
He surrendered almost without a fight. I don't like it.
This may hint that the Wii port of the game was not that long, most likely averaging 3 to 4 hours in length. There exists a tie-in comic for Arkham Asylum demonstrating what occurred before the events of the game. The comic mostly showcases that Batman mostly confronted Joker on the roof of the City Hall, where Joker kidnapped the mayor and strapped him with a suicide vest. The setting of the comic fits in line with what occurs in the demo, perhaps giving us our only glimpse at the game's story. However, since the comic also details a series of different events involving Batman stopping different villains, perhaps the game would have been structured in different levels, where each level Batman had to traverse different environments until he confronted the main villain of the area, eventually ending in the final mission, where you must confront the Joker. This Arkham Asylum Wii port was not a direct translation of the main game, but seemed to serve more as supplementary material, detailing the events just before the main game commenced. The Wii itself may have been less powerful than its console counterparts, but that did not stop this port from capturing the overall spirit of Arkham Asylum, the only difference being the lighter and more cartoony art style. As far as we know, the game was only a prototype, a sort of showcase or tech demo to demonstrate to IDOS how an Arkham Asylum Wii port would look like. However, there's no indication that the project was ever greenlit. It's pretty clear why IDOS never moved forward with this port of the game, considering the Wii's reputation with third-party games and how they were mostly received poorly. It just was not worth the investment in their eyes to fund this port for Arkham Asylum.
So now you can control all your favorite characters just by touching them.
While Rocksteady and Redfly Studios were off developing their versions of Arkham Asylum, another studio by the name of Full Fat Games would begin work on their own version of the game, however this time as a port for the Nintendo DS. Batman Arkham Asylum for the DS began development sometime around late 2007 and early 2008, and as far as we are aware, the game never got far into development, as only 2 areas exist within the demo: the rooftop of a building and a singular interior, which appears to be a large office room. It's likely that this Arkham Asylum DS port was simply a prototype meant to show IDOS how the game would look like. We can tell just how early this game was in development based on several details. For one thing, the enemies cannot be interacted with, as they don't seem to react to Batman attacking them. Secondly, the gadget icons are unfinished, instead having placeholder logos. The Arkham Asylum font on the title screen is ripped straight from early promotional material from Rocksteady's version of the game during its pre-alpha. The same can be said for this shot of Batman in the DS port, which is ripped straight from this piece of concept art for Rocksteady's game, the only difference being the backgrounds, which has been swapped for a city, showing that this project was being developed at least during the early stages of Rocksteady's game. One interesting element about this Arkham Asylum project is that if you take a look at its development history, you'll notice that it used to be a Dark Knight game, with even the Nolan Batsuit and Bat symbol present. It seems at some point this project was supposed to be a tie-in for Pandemic's Dark Knight game. However, after the Dark Knight game was cancelled, it was reworked to be an Arkham Asylum port instead, which explains why the logo on the title screen is the Christopher Nolan bat symbol, while the bottom text is the early font for Arkham Asylum. Even weirder than that, it appears this game also used to be a Harry Potter project, which makes sense since the studio had developed other Harry Potter games in the past. So, 3 different projects by the same studio sharing the same overall style. Clearly, Full Fat Games was using the same engine or template for all these games, hoping that eventually WB Games would greenlight them so they could officially begin development. When the games weren't greenlit, they would be reworked into a new project, and the process would begin again. Now clearly this Arkham Asylum DS port was never greenlit by IDOS officially, ending in its eventual cancellation. As far as gameplay, we can't make any assumptions, but it does seem to have the basic features of a beat 'em up and stealth action adventure, but I doubt it could have utilized the free flow combat due to the limited hardware of the DS. If you want to play this DS port for yourself, the link is in the description, as well as the links for all the footage used in this section, and the original person who found this game to begin with.